Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this quarter's Immersive series by nasscom. And in this edition of Immersive series, we are going to talk about industry-academia collaborations, where we are bringing in best-in-class R&D organization and universities to reflect on their journeys and share their insights to the wider Indian R&D ecosystem to reflect to increase their learning curve and drive sustainable and long-term industry growth. So in this session 3 of the Immersive series, we are going to talk about hackathons. And we have our moderator Vandana and our speakers all set up here. So Vandana, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Avinash, for that introduction. And hello, everyone. I am Vandana Babu, and I'm a principal analyst at nasscom. So very good morning to all of you who have joined today. And, today's session is the continuation of the quarterly immersive series on industry academia collaboration. So in the last session, which was held yesterday, we had leaders from KPIT, Capgemini, New Horizon College of Engineering, and PCCOE, who provided insights, best practices, and shared their experience on designing industry-oriented curriculum to make talent industry. And prior to last session, we had leaders from Intel, GE, IIT Madras, and IISc Bangalore, who provided, again, insights and best practices on accelerating research through academia industry partnerships. Both these sessions, I must say, were quite insightful and very, very interesting. And today's session is even more interesting because we'll be talking about University-Industry Hackathons. So I'll briefly set up the context. So of late, hackathons have been extremely popular component of competitive education, industrial recruiting, or generating ideas for startups as well. It is a very successful instrument as it brings together various stakeholders such as organizations, universities, researchers, developers, students, investors, and many more. The university-industry collaboration approach of the hackathon provides several benefits for its stakeholders, ranging from developing creative and innovative solutions to the enterprise's problems, to promoting the reputation and recognition of the university's programs, and finally enhancing the teaching and learning experience for the college students and the professors as well. So hackathons have also become a standard approach for industries to find solutions for business problems or investigate new technology areas. In today's session, we will deep dive into how industry and university hackathons, they lead to innovation. And we want this session to be extremely interactive. And I would urge all of you to type your questions in the Q&A chat box, and we will pick it up at the end of the session. Now, I want to extend a very, very warm welcome to all our panelists. And our panel comprises of experts from the industry as well as winners of the Industry University Hackathons. So I will quickly introduce our panelists and would request them to share a brief introduction about themselves. We have Mr. Vijay Mantri, who is the head of Innovation L&T Technology Services, Dr. Ashwin Sadasiva Kumar, who's the Senior VP, Capability Transformation and Operations Head, Virtusa, Santhiya R, Engineer CTO team at LTTS, and Anuranjan, MB, Associate Engineer Technology, who was the part of TMT West Innovations and Solution team at Virtusa. So I would quickly ask all the panelists to kindly introduce themselves. Mr. Vijay, if you could kindly share your introduction.
Thanks, Vandana. So I'm Vijay, and I have over 25 years of industry experience, mainly working in product engineering in various roles and functions. In my current role at L&T Technology Services, I'm part of the technology office, leading and driving innovation programs involving internal and external ecosystem.
Thank you, Mr. Vijay. Dr. Ashwin, I would request you to kindly introduce yourself.
Ashwin here. Around 26 years of industry experience, been 8 years in Virtusa. My role is more from a capability transformation in terms of how do we prepare the workforce for the next big thing. Okay, whether it is digital, tomorrow it will be something else. So how do we prepare the workforce? And specifically, I work with campuses. I manage the end-to-end campus journey from onboarding to making them to the next level. So that's my journey. I have done my thesis in employability of an engineer. That's my passion. Employability of an engineer in the IT sector. How can you make people more employable? And very interesting discussion we're going to have, but that's me, Ashwin.
Thanks, Dr. Ashwin. Anuranjan, I would request if you can share your introduction.
Thank you, Vandana. Thank you for that. Hey everyone, I'm Anuranjan, an associate engineer here at Virtusa. As part of the TMT Solutions team, we generally work and explore and work with revolutionary technologies like metaverse and 5G. I basically come from an artificial intelligence and automation background. So that's it. Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for having me.
Great. Thanks, Anuranjan. And last but not the least, Santhiya, I would request your introduction, please.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. This is Santhiya from Mantri Technology Services. So I'm a part of the CTO team, and we specifically work on artificial intelligence-based solutions. I did my post-graduation in Banaram Institute of Technology. Suppose that winning TECHgium, I'm there in L&T INOT. So looking forward to interacting with everyone. Good morning.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much. So before starting the discussion, let us have a quick poll. So I would request the moderators to kindly put up the poll. So this is just to understand what kind of audience do we have today. So yeah, there is the poll. So the first question is, which of the following organization do you belong to or do you represent? Either, academia or industry or students. And also, is your organization involved in organizing any hackathons? If yes, how many are being conducted every year on an average? So we'll quickly have that. I would request our audience to kindly choose their answers. A couple of more seconds. So great. So we have a lot from the industry, a lot of participation from the industry. And yes, there are people who are actually organizing a lot of hackathons, more than 2, and there's a lot of activity going on. So I hope today's session would be of great learning. It would be great to have the insights as well that we'll hear from all our panelists. So, I'll quickly start the session, and this session, the whole webinar is divided into 4 topics. So the first topic is where we are going to deep dive on the current hackathon initiatives that are being undertaken, So I'll start with Mr. Vijay. So, Mr. Vijay, currently LTTS is hosting the 6th edition of TECHgium, which is an open innovation competition, and it allows students to work on various engineering challenges. So can you also share an overview of TECHgium and how the journey has been so far, and why was it conceptualized, and what were the main goals were? So if you could throw some light.
Yeah, sure, Vandana. So TECHgium is an open innovation multi-stage competition platform, which we conceptualized in 2016, that engages students to come out with solutions on real-life industry-specific use cases and challenges. TECHgium provides an ideation platform to discuss on diversified ideas for solutioning and discovering talent. It kinds of breaks through those set processes, methodologies, and mindsets, while bringing in the fresh breeze of ideas without any constraints. It's a 7 to 8 months long engagement program during which students come out with solutions by applying core and emerging technology. It enables students to have an appreciation of interdisciplinary engineering nature, systemic view for solving engineering challenges, while understanding the pros and cons of proposed solutions. The overall multi-stage program involves initial abstract submissions, followed by technical paper presentations, followed by POC development and demonstration. In the entire journey of TECHgium, students engage with industry practitioners and subject matter experts, if you will, to discuss and seek regular feedback on their proposed solutions. Students have options to involve faculty who also register on the TECHgium platform. In the final stage of the program, the students compete in a 2-day finale event, demonstrating and interacting with various professionals, as well as presenting their solutions to the jury members from academia, industry, and analysts. The entire process as such of TECHgium enables thinking out of the box, stimulating critical thinking, collaborative way of working, while also helping students to sharpen their presentation and communication skills in their efforts of bringing their idea to life. We launched the 6th edition of TECHgium in August 2022, and which is currently ongoing. Over the years, we have seen TECHgium grow in its popularity from close to 7,000 students registration in first edition to 30,000 plus students registration in the last concluded edition.
Wow, great achievement there. Thank you for sharing that insight. Now, Dr. Ashwin, coming to you, Virtusa has also conducted its 6th edition of Neutral Hack, and also it's running the 3rd session of Jatayu Hackathon. So, can you talk about these 2 hackathons and how the journey has been so far, and how was it conceptualized, and of course also how is neural attack different from Jatayu?
Thanks, Vandana. So I have this concept of code is your resume, right? So in the IT industry, what the resume is a paper which may not be valid anymore. It's more of a code that you generate most of the time, right? So neural hacks is primarily we use that channel for recruitment. With respect to the last edition of Neural Hacks, we have 110,000 people registering. And so it's one of the largest events which happen in the industry. And there are 2-3 rounds of assessments. And then there is a final 2-day hackathon, which happens in our office. So from that, about 45 teams participate, and we give the awards, and we give offers for all the people who clear those hackathons and come. That's more of a recruitment engine. Jatayu is more from an ideation to industrialization. What we do is, for example, Anuranjan, he will talk about the Jatayu winner. So, and if you had seen his introduction, you would have said TMTS, one of our SBUs, one of our strategic business units. So we have a direct correlation between the projects that are enabled and the ideas. So each of those business units will pick up a couple of ideas, and then the students will be able to present a white paper with respect to ideation, and then take it to industrialization. We have about 17,000 people registering, and this is open only to our partnership colleges. The first one, Neural Hacks, is open across India, and we have now opened it across Sri Lanka and India and US and Canada. But in terms of Jatayu, it is more where we have partnerships with the colleges. So they will come. It's a journey. It's a journey by itself. From the 3rd year, it takes about 6-7 months for people to get from an ideation to a industrial solution. See, the idea is, can we take 1 or 2 ideas and create an IP for the students? So that's the goal. We are not yet there, but the aim is to take those ideas into an IP and make it more interesting for the student as well as useful for us. That's the difference.
Absolutely, Dr. Ashwin. So what a wonderful initiative that is. So we also have on the panel 2 panelists who have actually participated and actually won these hackathons. So Santhiya, I want to actually start with you. So can you describe your experience at TECHgium, and also what motivated you to participate in TECHgium?
So my overall experience at TECHgium was really great. So I worked on noise removal for scientific document images. Our team had designed an end-to-end deep learning framework for denoising the scientific document images. So this gave me an opportunity to work on an AI-based real-time industrial problem. So the competition was spanned over a month of 8 months with multiple rounds in it. So this long tenure actually helped us have a deep dive into the problem statement. And I was motivated to work on TECHgium because Unlike other hackathon where students come with problem statements, in TECHgium, we know we're solving something that's a real-time industrial problem. So that really fascinated me. And working for TECHgium has helped me understand the importance of collaborative efforts, system approach, the need for an out-of-box thinking. It pushed me to have a deep dive into the artificial intelligence domain and find a practical, feasible solution using deep learning. So directly and indirectly, it has helped me improve on a technical perspective, professional, as well as my soft skill. So overall, TECHgium is really amazing and great.
Wonderful, wonderful, Santhiya, to hear that experience, live experience on live projects. So it's so wonderful. Anuranjan, you had also participated at Jatayu and won that. So how was your experience in Jatayu different from other hackathons?
Right. So I would like to pick up a few quotes from Ashwin, what Ashwin just said. So like Ashwin said, Jatayu would ideally be an ideathon. So the way it works, you pick up a use case, you conceive an idea, you develop an industrial solution. So once that's done, once the hackathon is done, so ideally we look at when comparing Jatayu with other hackathons, right? So other hackathons might emphasize on the actual implementation of the solution. But Jatayu focuses a lot more on the idea and the solution, with implementation being carrying certain weightage. So the use cases we have here are very robust, and those are of industrial needs right now. So this gives you an opportunity to work with revolutionary technologies, right, and cutting edge transformational technologies. So that's that, and which also means that you get an opportunity to work with industrial leaders from various verticals right now. So that's something very interesting about Jatayu. Finally, but not the least, so the competition also provides you an opportunity to gain visibility across industries. Once your solution gets verified across your SPUs and the hackathon, right, you get an opportunity to present it across prominent leaders from different verticals, where you get an opportunity to assert your understanding and your solution. I think that's really important. In fact, my team, Deepak, Raghavan, and Arjun Prasad, we got an opportunity to present a solution and gain the approval of our executive suite. So that's the CEO, CTO, and CPO. So that's quite an achievement. So that was quite an amazing experience with Jatayu there.
Wow, many congratulations on that achievement as well. And it's so wonderful to see both sides on the panel, that, where we saw the people who were directly responsible for setting up this initiative, as well as the people who, had the live experience as well of participating in these hackathons. So many thanks to all the panelists for sharing in brief, your experience and deep diving on these initiatives. So the second round, now we'll move on to, the intent of these hackathons, like what pain points have been solved, or what was the intent behind, setting up these hackathons. So Mr. Vijay, I'd start with you again. So what was the impact and the intent of, that was expected from TECHgium? So whether was it to generate new ideas or solve some customer pain points? Also, can you share some examples where, TECHgium has actually helped solve some challenge or customer issues, in your organization?
Sure, Vandana. So essentially, if you look at TECHgium, it brings together young talent with diversified background and engineering streams from across the country, locations, cities, towns, colleges. It kind of helps students get an appreciation of various conflicting and non-conflicting aspects of solution implementation: ease of use, usability, cost, visibility, if I may say, scalability, performance, and sustainability at all. One or multiple ways of solutioning. And I will stress on the multiple ways of solutioning. Just to illustrate with some statistics, we typically publish on an average around 50 to 75 distinct engineering challenge statements. For these challenge statements, we may receive not less than 3,500 plus abstracts, and which essentially means that you have as many distinct possibilities, permutations and combinations of solutioning. The type of engineering use cases that we were mentioning, or use case that the students work for instance, include use case related to creation of a platform for data anonymization or personal identifiable information removable from video footages by applying computer vision and AI, or data denoising. Santhiya talked about of scientific or engineering documents by using image processing and deep learning. Or for that matter, use case related to development of smart IoT crane box with sensors to precisely guide the crane operator on the crane hook position and path while shifting loads to avoid collisions. Similarly, use case related to energy defrosting methods for cold storage applications, self-cleaning of panels, solutions for improving safety of occupants during a EV crash, considering high voltage components which are involved, or say sustainability use case related to water treatment and improved recyclability. Hover drone, for example, with dynamic charging via wireless power. These are the kind of use cases that students get an opportunity to work on. From a talent perspective, TECHgium helps put back a talent pool in the ecosystem, having exposure to industrial use cases and practical solution mindset while discovering young talent and multiple ways of solutioning.
Great, great. Thanks, Mr. Vijay. And Dr. Ashwin, I want to ask you that, while devising these hackathons, what type of business problems can be solved easily and these hackathons are best suited for? And what kind of problems, business problems, the hackathons are not suited for? So if you could share some idea about that.
See, with respect to ideas which are very suitable, for example, I'll take an example, what we did. During the pandemic, onboarding into Virtusa was a challenge, right? With respect to, we have to do remote onboarding. So how do we get people to see Virtusa, feel Virtusa? So that's where one of the use cases where people worked on is metaverse-based onboarding. So in fact, one of those, we are trying to roll it out for all our onboarding. So really to get a feel of Virtusa, how do you meet leaders? How do you meet people? Because in office onboarding, a lot of things can happen. So that's a typical use case. So wherever hackathons are useful is where you want, there is no one solution. You have to look at multiple things to arrive at, from a cost angle, from a risk angle, see, we work with a lot of healthcare rollouts. So when we talk to the students and they also come up with their academia help from the professors and people, they come up with ideas which are very refreshing. Okay. And so that's a very important. Where it need not be used is, see what we have already solved. As the industry, we have solved a lot of things, right? I would take typically production support or something like that, which we have solved end to end. But even there, you can do some innovations. But then where you have already solved, I don't see that as a reason. But one thing is, last but not the least, see, we always talk about industry, academia working together. And this, this platform is the basis for it. Because we give them real business use cases so that they can operate on, and they come up with academia, this thing which has, you see, look at that, they have access to global academia, so which the industry may not have. So that is why I think hackathons are very important.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks, Dr. Ashwin, for sharing that insight. Now, Anuranjan, I want to ask you that how has the hackathons that they have helped you approach any problem statements?
Okay, right. So I'm from an engineering background, right? So I wouldn't generally know about the business side of things. But after Jatayu, I see problems from a holistic perspective. So from Jatayu, we understand from the very beginning, we talk about market analysis. We do a market analysis. So what that basically means is we define a market and then describe it. So that's the first step. When I say define a market, you define the boundaries of your customers. You say these are going to be my clients and these people are going to be my customers. And then you describe them, what is probably going to be their needs, what is going to be their demands and things like that. Once that is done, you talk about the functional demands that functionality demand that might come in, right? So that's the next point. So we also concentrate a lot on the market direction when it comes to Jatayu. So we highly encourage participants right from the very beginning to also create a roadmap for their solution, which aligns with the the market direction, so that the solution could be a sustainable one, right? So that's something I would like to highlight here. And the most important thing here was Jatayu altered and improved my idiosyncrasies when it came to problem solving. So I think that's something not a lot of competitions and hackathons could do. Yeah.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, wonderful that certain hackathons are actually suited to your personality and how you approach a problem. So that always brings out the best. Wonderful. So Sandhya, now I'm curious to understand what kind of business problems are you working on currently?
Yes, Vandana. So my TECHgium problem statement was actually given by one of the teams working on artificial intelligence solution in LTTS called INO. And post winning TECHgium, I was directly taken into the team, and I currently work on development of artificial intelligence algorithms and modules for INO. So as a part of INO, we work on various engineering-centric use cases like predictive analytics, log analysis, metadata extraction, and sentiment analysis. Flagship product is metadata extraction from complex engineering documents like 2D drawing, engineering, and documents with engineering symbols like GNT symbols, PO documents, and so on. And the most fascinating thing is like a current TECHgium solution is being inculcated into our offering. So it comes like our development is now going into production. So that's very fascinating. And apart from that, I'm also involved in other research activities such as development of speech signal algorithms specifically focused on embedded AI use cases.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. Thanks, Sandhya. Thank you for sharing that. So, we have talked about, the business, problems and the pain points that have been solved, or the intent of these hackathons that have been, addressed by these, initiatives. So now we will come to the next section where we are talking about engagement models and challenges. While these hackathons are going forward. So, Mr. Vijay, I want to ask you that how do you take forward the initiatives and the innovations that have resulted from hackathons? And also, the IPs that get generated as a result. So what mechanisms are, put in place to manage these IPs? So, your thoughts on that. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, Vandana. Let me first cover from an IP perspective. By default, the student or the team that is involved in coming up with the solution or that initial idea are the owner of their ideas. We keep it as simple as this from a TECHgium context. Now, the outcome of TECHgium competition is a working proof of concept or a prototype, if you will, in a basic or intermediate proven stage, which would have evolved over the duration of TECHgium. Now, from a continuity perspective, the competition, the format in itself encourages the student to think what next for their idea that they have proposed, including, for instance, the MVP plan, the minimum viable product plan. Now, from a continuity perspective, there are two typical scenarios that might arise. One is a case like Santhiya has described. Students are provided with an opportunity for continuity of the idea or solution along with our solutioning team. Now, for many of the ideas, the students themselves may choose to continue to develop their idea as part of their own initiative or startup, and we are perfectly fine with that.
Wow, great. Thanks. Thank you for sharing that insight, Mr. Vijay. So Dr. Ashwin, now, many companies, they also provide internship or full-time job offers to hackathon winners. And we can see Anuranjan's, example here that he's also working with Virtusa. So, what engagement models are, used to engage with these hackathon winners? And also, while challenges, what kind of challenges do you face while you're engaging with these winners? And, again, how do you address them?
See, one is like Anuranjan said, right? These folks get visibility into our top leadership. And when I say leadership, it is not general management. We are talking about senior leaders who are customer facing, who breathe in and breathe out, not only P&L numbers, but customer problems. Okay. So for example, Anuranjan directly presented to our CEO. So CEO actually knows Anuranjan's name. So which doesn't happen in a normal sequence of things. Right? So these guys get a lot of visibility. And also see, let's understand that these are problem statements which customers also have not solved. So if you look at a metaverse, or if you look at artificial intelligence, or you look at when Santhiya was talking about it, right? I was just thinking and I was smiling. Not many senior people have worked on it. These are latest and the greatest. Okay. So these guys bring in fresh ideas. And in fact, I would like to record here. We have now started showing these cases to the customer themselves. So in our customer visits, we actually take them to the colleges, show them their Jatayu winners, show them one of our products. We have started doing it. So these are, we are also learning that model. See, it's about a learning what we can do with it. The challenges I see is, see, when you want to, we are talking about the big stuff of AI and whatnot, metaverse. But look at the people who can do this are people who have cleared the foundation. The foundation has to be very strong. And I'm sure when you go and talk to Anuranjan or Santhiya or whoever who come into this level, right? They're talking this level because their foundation has been very founded and learned by practice, by exercising. So that's where they are there. So that is the challenge, right? So you can't directly come here. That's also one the people have to understand, that they have to go through the grind. They have to go to the grind of fundamentals, foundation, and then get there. See, the challenge there is some people try to get here without going there, or some people get stuck in that only place. Only if you take that foundation and apply innovation. So that's the challenge that I see. But as academia is also trying to see, look at that, right? When I was there, the internship must be done only at college. They will not allow you to do internship, in a sense, project in a, they won't consider that as your final year project. As simple as that. But now that's not the case. They are willing to even forego their last semester. The universities are coming forward to having innovative models of engagement. So that's what I would like to record here.
Wow. Thanks, Dr. Ashwin, for sharing those initiatives and those insights. As how our company is engaging with these hackathon winners. Now, Sandhya, I want to ask you that, what difficulties do you think students encounter while they are participating in these hackathons? And then, what steps can industry, they can take these steps to address these issues? What are those steps? So, from your experience, what you've seen around, what difficulties do you think, the students are encountering?
Yeah, so generally in a development, when we're doing it at academia level, there are a lot of difficulties that we overcome, because in industry, this scenario is different, the deployment environment is different, and the kind of problems we have apart from building the solution is completely different. So generally, there are a lot of gaps that happen during the development process. So if you take in our case, there were some small gaps that had to be closed during a development with regard to concept design till development. Okay, so from our side, we had some problems with regard to the data set preparation, the model design, and how far or how robust the model could be when we are deploying it finally. So these were some of the gaps that we wanted to be addressed. So how we overcome this was in TECHgium, as I mentioned, it's an 8-month long process. So what happens, we have regular feedback sessions from our mentors. So we allocated mentors from L&T, and these are the people who have given us the problem statement. So this mentoring sessions from L&T and the kind of knowledge transfer we have from the mentors to our end has actually helped us overcome these gaps, and it has helped us build a more robust and very versatile model. So this continuous feedback has helped us, in our case, fine-tune our image processing and deep learning components in the complete denoising framework. So apart from on a technical perspective, the mentoring session also concentrates on the business perspective too. Like as Anuranjan was mentioning, so they had to present in front of the CEO and the top management. The same thing happens with the TECHgium too. Our final presentation happens in front of all the heads of the business vertical, starting from transportation till plant engineering to all the verticals, right? So we have all the vertical leaders coming down when the final happens. So we are going to present in front of the entire R&D fraternity of L&T. So the mentoring session, puts all these into our development and tells us to look at in all the direction of where a solution can go. Apart from the problem statement that is given, the one thing can fit into many other use cases too. So these mentoring session, throws light on those stuff. And apart from that, when we have those knowledge transfer from the L&T mentors to us happening, we share it with the college guides too, the professor guides from the institution. And these professor guide work on the input from L&T, and they help us in understanding the advanced concepts in a more effective manner. So the knowledge transfer from L&T to our professor guide and then it coming to us has helped us build a more robust solution, both in terms of technical perspective, taking in terms of the business use case, as well as how far we can use a single developed model into more advanced domains, like, other domains. In our case, we were doing it for our artificial intelligence team, but we had similar requirements from transportation department who wanted to use it for one of their use cases. So I think the podium where we put a final solution, the finals that we happen in front of the entire R&D team or the heads of L&T is where we see, the gap in our development process being, closed there and getting fulfilled. So I think that is how we overcome it.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks, Santhiya, for sharing that experience, your experience, what you had, undergone during your, project. So that is, quite refreshing to hear. So Anuranjan, same question to you as well. So what difficulties do you think students encounter while participating in these hackathons, and how can, industry address them?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would like to take a few points from Sandhya. So like she mentioned, she talked about how things could be difficult to train a machine learning model. So that's basically infrastructure. So these are very fundamental problems when it comes to solving problems, right? So talking about infrastructural problems or the proper mentor support you could receive. And the third thing I would like to highlight here is the loss of motivation. So when the hackathon starts, right, people are generally very motivated and very engaged. So, but quite down the lane, we see people getting demotivated. They lose motivation to do stuff. So how did Jatayu solve this? Jatayu did something really intelligent. So what they did was we have this gamification module. So the way it works, you are given Jatayu coins or J coins as we call them. And with you can use these coins to gain support from the industry. You could ask for introductory support or ask for mentorship support. For example, let's say you need a quick session with your mentor. You spend like 50 J coins there. So that's how we solve that. So the idea here is to understand that J coins have a weightage at the end of the program. So they consider the amount of J coins left with you once the solution is built. So we also understand how participants can think from a resource management perspective. You need to balance the trade-offs, right? So that's something Jatayu taught me as well. So that's basically it. So the kind of gamification models also retains engagement. So people are a lot more interested and engaged to do this in the longer run. So I think these are how people from other verticals can take as a pointer as well. Yeah.
Got it. And such an interesting way as well, So how do you then, you have to figure out how do you spend those J coins and where do you spend your J coins, at what intervals, etc. So
Exactly.
very, it's actually teaching you, real life business, life cases as well. So
Absolutely.
business sense as well. So wonderful,
Yes.
wonderful. So, we've talked about, the engagement models, and we've talked about challenges. We've talked about which pain points we have, we are addressing. So now we have seen the success stories here in the form of Anuranjan and Santhiya. They have shared their experiences as well. So, Mr. Vijay, I want to share now, many other businesses and other organizations are also organizing these hackathons. But what steps have you taken to ensure that that LTTS's hackathons, they stand out and they attract a large number of participants? Because you've shared some tremendous numbers. So over the last 6 sessions, how have what steps have you taken? And also, apart from the internship and job offers, what other rewards and benefits are being provided to these hackathons, winners and participants, and also runners up?
Yeah, Vandana. So essentially, firstly, if you look at it, TECHgium by format is unique in the sense that it is designed for engineering-centric real-life industry challenges and use cases. Now, the multi-stage format in itself gives the students an opportunity to evolve the idea over a period of time with continuous interaction and feedback, which most of the panelists also refer to, as well as the associated faculty. That's another uniqueness about this initiative. The hybrid mode of the program and duration gives students that much needed flexibility and room to research and work on the solution while doing a fine balancing act with their academic schedule. The pitch session and demonstration perspective, student and teams that reach the finale are invited for a fully reimbursed 2-day program to one of the LTTS campus, during which the winners are announced. But this is the stage of TECHgium, if I may call, the shark stage, in which during the students get an opportunity to interact face-to-face with industry practitioners, customers, and analysts part of their presentation and demo pitches. This is a 2-day affair. Secondly, from an outreach perspective, the outreach to students for TECHgium is an ongoing activity. The word of mouth from testimonials from the past participants help us keep the momentum. We also rely on social media and other direct academia connect to reach out to students and faculty. Now, one of the distinct difference here is we reach out to all the academia, and it is open to most of the academias throughout India and overseas. Lastly, rewards from a reward perspective, over the period and through various editions, we have seen, we have doubled the prize money. The top 3 winners today take away 18 lakh INR worth of prize money, with the winners taking away 10 lakh INR, runners up 5 lakh INR, and the second runner up 3 lakh INR, with the possibility of on-the-spot special jury awards, which run up to 2 lakhs, and along with various media coverage. Students that reach a particular stage of the competition are also considered for recruitment drive, including internship and employment opportunities, which most of the other hackathons also do. Overall, we hope that through TECHgium, we can influence the innovation culture and entrepreneurship mindset, if you will, amongst participants, contributing in our own way to the overall skill development and startup ecosystem, while keeping TECHgium as one of the most sought after forums for engineering students.
Absolutely. And what, what wonderful participation also, because you're sharing so many, benefits and rewards apart from the, job offers as well. So, it definitely does attract. And, the added advantage of, actually seeing your, idea being put to practice. So that's even more gratifying. So yes, wonderful. Dr. Ashwin, now, you've been at the helm of 2 of these hackathons. So what KPIs are you putting in place to measure the success of these hackathons? And also, how have these hackathons in your company, how have they evolved over the years? And what, how have the students also evolved while they are participating, and what approach, they are actually undertaking while participating?
So it has been a journey. So initially, we only used to see the number of registrations, right? 110,000. So now nobody sees so much of it. It's still a parameter, but then that's the volume. What's the value with respect to, see, these ideas get into, I think Santhiya referred to it. Once they get into an offering, it gives an entrepreneurial kick to the student. See, once an idea gets into an offering of a company, so what we are trying to do is, can these, once they work on, can these come as offerings for the company? So that's one thing which we are trying to integrate. In a couple of places we have been successful. It's a journey, but so that's one thing we are doing differently. And with, like what Vijay said, right, with respect to all the, anybody who gets offered through an hackathon is directly a 70%, 60% more than the normal way of getting into the company, whatever that might be. So directly about 50, 60, 70% more. And even if people get off from the different stages of hackathon, what we try to do is they come into our database where there are their immediate needs. For example, if you want to do an off-campus, we generally don't go outside. First, go and check with these people whether they are available. So that's one thing. The other one, with respect to how we are planning to take it, right, is directly making it, seeing if we can make it a global model with respect to where we can have academia from different geos also come into picture. So we're trying to do that. It's a journey. Right now we have participation from different geos, but I don't think we have a geo collaborated hackathon solution. We're trying to do that. So that's the next big thing.
Wow, wonderful. And onwards and upwards for that journey. So what a wonderful initiative. Santhiya, now I want to ask you, like, you've been a TECHgium winner. So how do these hackathons actually benefit students? And what, according to you, is the definition of a successful hackathon?
On a real-time perspective, hackathon, when I mean you're really going to hack something that's hidden and you're actually trying to, unresolve it and put it into practical, solve it, make it into a feasible solution. So I think hackathon is the knowledge that you've gained through academia. How do you put it into real time? And how do you see the gaps that are between your academia thing and the real time? How do you bridge it? So that is more about hackathon. So what I see as a successful hackathon is the real knowledge transfer that happens from your industrial pain point or from the industrial problem that is happening, and student is trying to build something, and how far or how long has the student learned to put his knowledge gained into that feasible solution. So I think that knowledge transfer both from an industry to the student academia, and the student learning it, taking the journey ahead and coming forward in his professional career. So I think this successful hackathon is how good the student is able to equip himself with the ups and downs that comes into the journey as such. So I think that is what a successful hackathon is all about. So even in terms of TECHgium, like irrespective of whether you're going to be onboarded or whether irrespective of you're going to be there into the firm or not, what TECHgium teaches you is to become a engineer mindset. So I think that is something great about TECHgium. Irrespective of whether we are going to come or not, the LTTS mentors made sure that they imparted that knowledge of being a complete engineer. So I think that is the key success of a hackathon. You're building more better engineers for our country through this hackathon. So I think that is what a successful hackathon is.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. And it always, is so heartening to hear exactly your experience, because you've been through the entire journey. So
Yeah.
you know exactly, what the students will go through and how will it benefit them. So wonderful to hear that. And Anuranjan, from your experience, how do these hackathons now they benefit the students, and also your definition of a successful hackathon?
Right. Okay. So I would like to answer the second part of the question first. I would like to go a little tangential manner here. I would say I would deem a hackathon successful only when a solution you build reaches the hands of a clients. Like Ashwin said, it needs to become an offering. That's light at the end of the tunnel, right? You've been through all these pain points. We would like to really move them into production, like Santhiya just said. That's something I would say is the success criteria for hackathon. To talk about the benefits that students receive, that's quite a lot. So you actually move away from textual references and knowledge basis to a practical implementation of the solution. That's something really important. And the next thing I would like to highlight is the early industrial exposure and corporate adoption. So you move away from being a student, becoming a proper corporate employee. That's something really important, right? A quick shout out to my mentors, John and Giridhara Madakashira, who helped me in this process. And the next thing I would like to highlight is you generally tend to improve your higher order thinking skills. You start thinking out of the box. When you see a problem, you just don't think about the traditional solutions. You think about the emerging technologies. How could we, fit them into your solution? How do we offer this as a proposal or an offering to a client? So things like that are what I think would really benefit the students from a knowledge perspective as well. Yeah.
Wonderful, and wonderful to hear your experiences as well. How you have undergone that journey and then, become emerged as a winner as well. And then you could also share those experiences with your, fellow students as well. So now last parting question for all the panelists here, everybody. So as an ecosystem, as all of us being a part of the engineering R&D industry, so what can we do, together to improve the effectiveness of these hackathons? Whether it is in the context of generating new ideas or solving real world problems. So what can we together do as an industry? So Mr. Vijay, if you could share your, points on that.
Sure. And now I'll also like to stress upon Anuranjan's point before I talk about the various aspects. The fact that you have gone through the journey of hackathon, it in itself is a experience for the students. So whether your solution makes it into the offerings or not, just go by it. I mean, it just helps because the experience itself, teaches you a lot. Now, From an outreach perspective, effectiveness from an outreach perspective, the academic faculty can play a significant role in increasing outreach of such events within the students community, so as to have larger students participation and at the same time a large pool of diversified ideas. I'm speaking primarily from the context of academia and that kind of evidence. Similarly, various student clubs that exist within the academic ecosystem can help bring in awareness of such events internally for larger student outreach. From an outcome perspective, there are two things. One is from an involvement of faculty with their deep-rooted knowledge, research, paper, publication, etc. at all, can help unearth many more relevant solutions and at the same time have continuity of many more ideas and solutions through the startup ecosystem that may exist within the academia ecosystem or which eventually will mushroom within the institute. From skill perspective, I would like to talk about technical and soft both. On the technical and technology skills awareness and access of self-learning platform to know or sharpen skills on core emerging technologies that can be investigated or by the students or that can intervene in finding sustainable solutions. So typically what I'm referring to is self-learning platforms from a technical and soft skills perspective, primarily focusing on the soft skills, a coordinated effort at various levels to kind of develop or ignite critical thinking. Some of the panelists also talked about out of the box thinking, etc. Creativity at all that can help minds connect the dots, generate new ideas, will go a long way. Similarly, events such as this, the nasscom Immersive series on academia industry collaboration, that can help bring in various stakeholders on a single platform, understand best practices, synergize the efforts. And to conclude, from my point, while many of the constructs and initiatives are beginning to take shape, and with many already in place, you have Smart India Hackathon, Startup India program, Digital India, Meety Startup Hub, the evolving patent ecosystem, online learning platforms like Swayam, nasscom Future Skills. With a coordinated effort, increase awareness, push, and probably active contribution from all, similar initiatives amongst various stakeholders can help democratize innovation while contributing in their own way in making India an innovation.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing those insights. Dr. Ashwin, your thoughts on, what steps can we all take as stakeholders to improve these effectiveness of hackathons?
See, if we look at it, right, we all talked about the good parts of the entire story. But to be very frank with you, maybe 10-15% of the engineers who come out of our colleges may be exposed to hackathon, actually speaking. So there is an 85% or 80% of the people who are not yet exposed to hackathons, and they come to the industry. So what all we do at various levels, right? We can curtail it, we can increase it, but then I think this has to spread, volume has to spread, because that will bring up better engineers into the industry, and that will add on to the capital of India, right? Yeah, the intellectual capital of the engineering this thing of India. That's what we should do. How do we increase the volume? Apart from whatever Vijay talked about, which is very important and very interesting, we also have to talk about how can we make the reach go to all the colleges. Anybody, at least every year there has to be progress. 10%, 15%, 50%. Population should be exposed to hackathon before they come out of.
Absolutely, absolutely. Completely agree, Dr. Ashwin. And now, Anuranjan, from your experience as, being the person on the other side of the table who has undergone this process, what do you think as ecosystem, as stakeholders in the ecosystem, everyone can do to improve the effectiveness of these hackathons?
Okay, I would like to reiterate certain points from Vijay and Dr. Ashwin. So awareness. So when I talk about these kinds of hackathons with my friends, right, not a lot of them know about hackathons. They ask me, what is a hackathon? So that's the first question I get. So there's a huge gap between what's really happening in the industry and actually knowing about what's happening in the industry. So that's something really important. Creating awareness, hosting these kinds of sessions could really help could help build that gap. And the second thing is, I would like to talk about the kind of use cases and the solutions students and the industry come up with. Like Vijay mentioned, it's important to come up with sustainable use cases as well as sustainable solution. You need to be create a opportunity, a knowledge sharing opportunity, as well as a financial opportunity around the solution. So understanding these pointers in mind, building solutions in such a way would really help students get a lot of takeaway from the hackathons of these sorts.
Absolutely, completely agree with your point that you've shared. Now Santhiya, your thoughts on how we can improve the effectiveness of these hackathons?
Sure, Vandana. So just adding to what Anuranjan and the other panelists were telling, like as mentioned, there has to be even more awareness among our students. So on my perspective, what we can do is we can make sure that team has a combination of different academic levels. Say in certain hackathons nowadays, we have a condition like there has to be one woman in the team. There has to be a one girl student, then only you're permitted to form a team. Like that, it has to be like there has to be a PG compulsorily in a team that is getting formed. So what happens, these PG guys have already crossed the stage of the UG, right? So they have that exposure, they have a little upper hand over their juniors. So what happens, they're in a position to lead them and give them a better better journey on the learning process. On the other hand, if you take what happens for the PG guys is these PG people are specialization ones. They are not in UG. We learn everything. When I take computer science or ECE or EEE, you're going to learn the domain as such. But when you come over the second stage of PG, you're specializing in a domain. And when these use cases what we're solving in various hackathons are more industry specific and they target on a particular specialization, so the PG can directly work on their specialization, get an upper hand in the using the latest technology in their specialization, and they get a better opportunity over the research perspective. On the other hand, when you take for the UG guys, they get to learn from their seniors and inculcate that into their learnings and make a even enriched solution. So as a whole, if you see, the hackathon experience is going to be even more a better learning for the UG as well as for the PG. And when PG is a must, what happens, these PG will go and tell their juniors, hey, come on, something is going to happen like this, make sure you join. So within the ecosystem itself, the awareness gets boosted. So that, I think, if we make sure this is a rule onto the various hackathon, it will definitely boost the overall learning experience for the fraternity.
Wow, wonderful. And, spoken like somebody who has actually gone through the entire journey and you're actually sharing your personal experience. So thank you so much for that. Now, we have some interesting questions from our audience as well. So looking at the time, I'll just be able to take one question. We have the audience member is asking that what is the business case for running academia hackathon? I think we've talked about throughout the session today. But another question is that what kind of engineering intellectual property outcomes are to be expected from these hackathons? So, anybody can, answer that.
So
yeah.
let me take that. So
Yeah.
with respect to the cutting edge technologies, not many proof of concepts exist. So these IPs are actually those initial startup ideas or prototypes or what are frameworks which can show as a proof for these emerging technologies. Right? It's a very important use case because we should understand that the customers, for the customers who are going to spend money, also look at the risk parameter of it. So how do we ensure that the intellectual property that we're getting addresses the emerging technologies and also how risk proof they are? In the sense, when you create an idea, is it cyber secure? Is it whatever the standards of the geo perspective is taken care of? Those are the things which they can be created by this academia.
And if I may add, Vandana, to Dr.
Yes.
Ashwin's point, you may come out probably with that initial novel idea that you may want to patent,
Yes.
or you may come out with papers that you may want to technically publish and all those aspects. Apart from, of course, this intermediate or initial proof of concept that might give you an opportunity to kickstart, find that passion that you are looking for.
Wow.
As students, sometimes you are not very clear on where you want to go. So all these things will add and help the students in their journey of in the future careers.
Wonderful, wonderful. And thank you. What a wonderful way to end the session today on that wonderful note. So thank you so much, Mr. Vijay, Dr. Ashwin, Anuranjan, and Santhiya for sharing your views and your insights and experience with all of us today. So before concluding, we'll just have a quick poll for the audience members. So I would request the moderator to kindly, or admin to kindly share the poll. So there are a few questions here. So on a scale of 1 to 5, how relevant was today's session in the context for your organization? 1 being not relevant and 5 being very relevant. The second one is how willing are you to organize these industry and university hackathons, or how willing are you to leverage these best practices and insights that we have gained from today's session? And also on a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate today's session? 1 being not good and 5 being excellent. So a couple of seconds we'll give so that everybody is able to, share their answers. Our audience that we'll publish a very detailed playbook comprising of these key insights and best practices across these 3 sessions that we have had, across these 3 days. So I hope everyone enjoyed these sessions and took home some best practices for how we can leverage hackathons to produce real innovation. So thank you so much to our panelists, and thank you everyone for joining in. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you, everyone. Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you.
Bye.